Hola amigos, Dr. Labrinicky. Today we're going to take a look at reflexive verbs in Spanish. First of all, we want to think about what is a reflexive verb in Spanish. Here we have some examples to take a look at, first in Spanish, then in English. So in Spanish I might say, yo me miro en el espejo, which would mean I see myself in the mirror. So a reflexive verb is something that someone does to himself or herself or myself. So the same person doing the action is the same person receiving the action. So that's what a reflexive verb is. Up next, let's take a look at some of the different pronouns that are going to be used. We've got our reflexive pronouns me, te, se, nos, os, and se. In the past, you may have learned some object pronouns, which are similar but a little bit different. So for object pronouns, someone's doing the action and somebody different is receiving the action. But here we've got words like myself, yourself, herself. The self indicates that I'm doing it to myself. So we've got me, te, se, nos, os, and se. Myself, yourself, himself, herself, us, y'all, themselves, or yourselves. All right, let's take a look at how we conjugate a verb. So it's got two parts here. If we take a look at a normal AR verb like llamarse, llamar is a normal AR verb. It's going to conjugate like before. We've got our endings o, as, a, amos, ais, and on. But now the second part to that, we need to put our pronoun with the me, te, se, nos, os, or se. And then oftentimes the object pronoun, who's doing the action, is going to be dropped just to simplify things a little bit and to shorten our sentence a little bit. But we can include them for practice here. So I can say, yo me llamo, I call myself. Tú te llamas, you call yourself. Ella usted se llama, he calls himself, she calls herself, you call yourself, the formal version. And then we've got nosotros, nos llamamos. So you can see how long that is, and it's kind of like a tongue twister when we have the pronoun with it. So most likely we're just going to say nos llamamos. Vosotros, os llamáis. And ellos, ustedes se llama. All right, so here's some examples you've probably seen. Back in Spanish 1, you may have been told that this is how you say my name is, what's your name? And we can think of it like that, but it actually translates a little different. So I can say, yo me llamo Señor Lebrun, which really means I call myself. And then I can say, y tú, ¿cómo te llamas? How do you call yourself? But yeah, you can think of it as what's your name, my name is, to simplify it a little bit, but it actually doesn't really translate like that so much because it's a reflexive verb. So somebody's doing the action to himself or herself, and that's a classic example of a reflexive verb. Then to take it one step further, we might take a look at a reflexive verb that's a stem changer, and then that's going to kind of have three parts to it. So a common verb that could be a stem changer could be sentarse, what you see here. And so now it's got three parts to it. So I need to have the pronoun, me, te, se, nos, os, or se. Okay, I'm also going to conjugate the end of the verb. It's going to have a o, as, a, amos, ais, or on ending. And then now we also need to incorporate our stem changers. So if we call it a boot verb, remember that the left column and the bottom column stem change, but the nosotros and the vosotros did not stem change. And so if I have a stem changer with a reflexive pronoun, now it's going to have three parts to it. But it just keeps building step by step. And if you just go step by step, you can get there. But it can be a little bit tricky because there's three parts to it. So for sentarse, to sit down or seat yourself, it would be me siento, I sit down. Te sientas, you sit down. Se sienta, he or she sits down. Nos sentamos, we sit down. Os sentáis, y'all sit down. Just used in Spain. And se sientan can be they sit down or all of you sit down. And then an example that we can take a look at that involves first conjugated verb, then an infinitive. Now for these ones, we're going to keep the pronoun at the end if we're doing an infinitive. Quiero sentarme, I want to sit down. So that's another thing to keep in mind. If I want to make something negative, I want to put no up in front of the verb. And then nothing can go between the pronoun. If it's either at the end or if I've got the pronoun, like these ones, I can, if I say I don't sit down, be no me siento. Nothing can go in between these pronouns. And then another thing interesting about me siento, if it's coming from the verb sentirse, that could also mean to feel. So me siento could mean I feel or I sit down. So that one could be a little bit tricky. Let me know if you have any questions. Click the subscribe button to check out all my videos. Let me know in the comments section below if you have any questions or comments, or hit the like or even dislike button, and that helps me make my videos better each time. All right, adios, hasta pronto.